Okay, to calculate the volume of this copper pipe, we need the inner radius and the external radius as well as the length of the copper pipe. And it's mentioned here that the length of the copper pipe is several meters. So we have to use a measuring tape to measure the length. And for the inner diameter and the external diameter, we can measure using a vernier caliper. Okay, so the answer it should be D, tape and calipers. Okay, for this question, right, we have to look at the various way the 3 Newton and the 4 Newton force they can be joined together. Okay, so we can first look at the two forces acting directly opposite each other, and with this we will get a resultant force of 1 Newton. And we can also look at the two forces acting in the same direction. And this will give us a resultant force of 7 Newton. Okay, so to get any forces that is between 1 Newton and 7 Newton, we can line up the two forces this way. And if we vary the angle here, we should be able to get any force, any resultant force that is between 1 Newton to 7 Newton. So the resultant force that we cannot get here, right, it will be 8 Newton. Answer D. Okay, for question 3, we are given a speed time graph of a skydiver who falls freely from an aircraft. So we can see that at the beginning, it accelerated downwards at a constant rate, and when we reach about this region, we find that the acceleration decreases due to the buildup of the air resistance. And when we reach this region, the speed becomes constant, so we can deduce that he has reached terminal velocity at this point. And at B, the speed starts to take a very sudden plunge, so we can deduce that the reason for the sudden plunge must be due to the opening of the parachute. So at B, the parachute has fully opened. Okay, in this question, we are talking about the acceleration and the terminal velocity of two objects. So one is heavier than the other, and they are being dropped from rest. Okay, at the beginning, because the air resistance is minimum, so they will both fall with the acceleration due to free fall. So they will have the same initial acceleration. And in order for them to reach terminal velocity, the air resistance must cancel out the weight. And because the heavier one has a larger weight, it will require a larger air resistance to cancel it out. So as we know that as the speed increases, the air resistance will increase. So in order to have a larger air resistance to cancel out the weight of the heavier object, we will require a higher terminal velocity. So the answer should be C. Okay, this question is a trick question, and it has successfully tricked some of the candidates. So the reason is because they are asked to find the resultant force. So some candidates will just use the formula resultant force is equal to ma, and is equal to 1000, and multiply by the acceleration. They will just blindly take it as 2, and this is wrong, because this 2 is 2 meters per second. It's actually the speed, not the acceleration. So from here, we can actually deduce the acceleration. Uniform speed of 2 meters per second. Whenever we see uniform speed, that means the acceleration is equal to 0 meters per second square. So using the formula, resultant force is equal to mass times 0. We will get 0 Newton. So the answer should be A.